Archangel Michael says, "There is a holy movement already unfolding in the heavens, and tonight at the appointed moment, a divine transfer is being set in motion for you, a transfer prepared by the loving hand of God, carrying blessings that are meant to lift your soul, strengthen your spirit, and fill your life with the sweetness of His grace. And yet I must tell you that if you close your heart and ignore the whisper of this message, what has been prepared for you may pass you by and drift into silence, leaving behind an emptiness that was never God's desire for you to carry." Type 1010 if you trust in God's timing. This moment is not an ordinary one, for the Lord has chosen a specific hour where the doors of heaven are open wide, and within that hour the angels are sent forth to release what has been carefully written in the book of your life, treasures of peace, strength, joy, and healing that belong to you because you are loved beyond measure, and because the Father delights in seeing you walk in wholeness, not in sorrow. The divine transfer is not measured only by earthly riches, but by the wealth of God's love that flows into every corner of your heart, by the comfort that soothes your deepest wounds, by the light that replaces shadows of fear and despair, and by the assurance that you are never left alone even in the quiet hours of pain, for Christ Himself walks beside you and whispers hope into your weary soul. Tonight carries a sacred rhythm, a holy pulse that beats with the promise of renewal, and as the clock moves toward that appointed time, the heavens prepare to pour out what your heart has long prayed for, perhaps answers you have waited on for years, perhaps the lifting of burdens that felt too heavy for your shoulders, perhaps the mending of relationships that seemed beyond repair, or the courage to step into a future you once thought was lost forever. What if you discovered a tiny, walnut-sized brain region holds the secret to endless wealth and success? Recently uncovered by groundbreaking research and once buried in classified files, this frequency is now available to anyone ready to listen. Imagine replacing worry and struggle with a life of financial ease and freedom. Interested? Click the link in video description and comments below to unleash this hidden brainwave and start attracting wealth right now. God does not desire to withhold what is meant for you, yet He honors the opening of your heart, for the divine cannot be forced into a place that is unwilling. And that is why this message comes gently but firmly, reminding you to be still, to lean into faith, and to hold on to hope, because when you choose to embrace this moment, you step into the current of God's love that can never be stolen away. There is a reason why heaven chose to make you aware of this hour, for your journey has not been unnoticed, every tear has been seen, every cry has been heard, and every silent prayer has been carried upward by angels who stood beside you when no one else understood the depth of your pain, and now the Father sends forth His answer, wrapped in love, timed with perfection, and delivered through the unseen hands of His messengers. Type 888 to open doors of abundance. Imagine the way a river overflows its banks after the heavy rains, spilling into every dry place and bringing life where there was once only dust. That is how the blessing prepared for you will move, filling the broken spaces of your heart, flowing into your days with renewal, and awakening your soul to the beauty of being loved so deeply that even the wounds of yesterday lose their power to chain you. Do not let doubt steal this moment, for doubt is like a thief that creeps in silently and whispers that nothing will change, that hope is foolish, that promises are empty, but the Spirit of God pushes back against those lies, declaring that His word is always alive, His timing is always perfect, and His love is always faithful, no matter how many seasons of waiting you have endured. Tonight's divine transfer is a gift wrapped in the mercy of Christ, who gave Himself so that you may know life in its fullness, not life chained by despair, not life imprisoned by fear, but life radiant with His presence, and as you lean into Him with trust, you will see how even the most difficult chapters of your story are transformed into testimonies of grace that shine like light in the darkness. So let your heart be steady as the evening draws near, let your soul rest in the assurance that heaven is not far away but closer than the air you breathe, let the peace of God surround you like a soft mantle, and let the hope of Christ rise within you like the dawn, because tonight, at the appointed hour, what was once delayed is being released, what was once hidden is being revealed, and what was once broken is being restored by the gentle and unshakable love of your Creator. Archangel Michael says, as the sacred hour approaches, the heavens are already stirring with the sound of angelic wings preparing to deliver what has been promised to your soul, and in this movement there is a weight of eternity resting on the present moment, because the divine transfer carries not only blessings for your earthly life but also treasures for your eternal journey, treasures that are meant to remind you that God has never left your side, not in your darkest nights, not in your heaviest struggles, and not even in the moments when you doubted if you could continue. There is a tenderness in God's plan for you, a tenderness that stretches across every season of your life, and even when you thought that certain doors had closed forever, He was quietly shaping another path, weaving together moments that seemed broken and turning them into a tapestry of purpose. And this transfer of blessings is not just about something new arriving but also about old wounds being touched with healing and forgotten hopes being awakened to life again. I must tell you that the appointed hour is not simply a number on a clock but a symbol of God's perfect timing, a reminder that He orchestrates every detail with precision, and while human hearts often grow weary in the waiting, the Lord never forgets what He has prepared for His children, and this moment of divine release is proof that His promises do not fade like shadows but remain steady like the rising of the morning sun. Type 1212 if you believe God is guiding you. Within your spirit there may be both expectation and hesitation, because hope has sometimes felt dangerous when disappointments have weighed heavily upon you, yet heaven wants you to know that this blessing is not a fleeting comfort that vanishes tomorrow but a lasting touch of God's love that will continue to flow into your life, shaping your days with strength, guiding your steps with clarity, and surrounding your heart with peace that does not waver. The angels move as messengers of light, carrying with them the answers that align with God's will for you, and as they descend into your life at the appointed time, the veil between heaven and earth becomes thinner, so that you may feel in the depths of your being that you are not walking alone, for every breath you take is held in the palm of God's hand, and every step you make is accompanied by His presence. Do not let fear deceive you into thinking that what has been prepared for you will be taken away, because fear is only a shadow without substance, and it cannot stand against the radiant light of Christ's love, a love that breaks chains, a love that calms storms, a love that remains even when everything else seems uncertain, and this love is the very foundation of the transfer waiting to reach you. Because God desires not only to give but also to anchor you in the security of His eternal care. When you look back on your life, you may recall nights when you cried without answers, mornings when you rose with heaviness still resting on your chest, and days when you wondered if God had forgotten you, but tonight stands as the reply to those questions, the gentle assurance that your tears were not wasted, your prayers were not unheard, and your faith, even in its smallest measure, has moved the heart of the Father who delights in blessing His children at the right time. What if I told you financial freedom is not about working harder, but activating a dormant brain signal designed to draw abundance directly to you? Neuroscience proves this sound wave unlocks prosperity faster than any method known before. From unexpected cash to life-changing success, it's already helping thousands. Click the link in the video description and comments below to turn on the ancient money wave and create the life you've always dreamed of today. Think of this moment as a door that opens into a garden long kept hidden, where the fragrance of new beginnings fills the air, where the soil is rich with possibility, and where the light of heaven shines in such a way that what once looked barren now glows with beauty. And as you step into this garden, you realize that every delay, every struggle, and every waiting season was preparing you for the richness that God wanted to place in your hands now. Type 333 to welcome blessings. The divine transfer is not just for you alone but also for those connected to your life, for when God pours out blessings upon you, they flow outward like rivers that touch the lives of others, bringing comfort to your family, encouragement to your friends, and inspiration to those who witness your journey, and in this way, your story becomes a living testimony of God's faithfulness, shining a light that leads others back to the embrace of His love. So as the hour draws closer, let your heart not be troubled by what was lost in the past or by what remains uncertain in the future, for the hand of God is steady, His love is unfailing, and His blessings are prepared with wisdom that surpasses human understanding. And tonight, at that divinely chosen time, you will begin to see with your own eyes the beauty of what happens when heavens will touch earth's reality, filling your life with hope, peace, and the unshakable assurance that you are held forever in the love of Jesus Christ. Archangel Michael says, the divine transfer that has been prepared for you is not simply a gift that comes and goes like a fleeting shadow, but rather a river of grace that continues to flow long after the appointed hour has passed, and it carries within it the fingerprints of God's eternal love, the careful attention of His providence, and the deep desire of His heart to see you rise into the fullness of life that He always planned for you. You must understand that every blessing God releases is wrapped not only in abundance but also in purpose, for what He places in your hands is never only for your comfort but also for your growth, for your healing, and for the spreading of His light through your story, so that others may see in your journey the undeniable evidence of His kindness, and through your testimony they too may find strength to believe again when hope feels distant. This sacred transfer is also an unfolding of the unseen battles that heaven has already fought on your behalf, because while you prayed, angels stood guard around you, pushing back against forces that sought to steal your peace, and while you wept in silence, the Lord was already writing answers in the language of eternity, answers that could only reach you at the time when your heart would be ready to receive them, and now that time has come, clothed in the stillness of this very night. Do not be afraid of the weight of what is coming, for the Lord never gives in ways that crush His children, instead He blesses in ways that lift, strengthen, and set you free. So even if your heart trembles at the thought of change, trust that the One who knows every detail of your life will not allow you to stumble under the gifts He gives, but will equip you with wisdom, courage, and peace to walk forward with steady steps. Type 777 if you walk by faith. In this hour, think of the ways the Father has already carried you through storms that once seemed unbearable. Remember the nights when fear told you that you would not make it to the morning, and yet the morning came because God's mercy rose with the dawn, and if He has been faithful then, He will be faithful now, for His love is not a passing feeling but a covenant sealed by the sacrifice of Jesus Christ, who gave His life so that you might live in freedom. The transfer is not measured only by what your eyes can see, for much of what heaven releases begins in the unseen places of the soul, where peace suddenly takes root in the heart, where clarity arrives like a gentle whisper, where courage begins to stir in quiet strength, and where joy begins to bloom even before circumstances change. And as these invisible treasures take hold within you, they begin to shape the visible realities of your life in ways you could never have orchestrated on your own. Heaven is not limited by what is around you, because even if your circumstances look dry and empty, God can bring forth streams in the desert, He can cause life to grow in barren places, and He can open doors that no man has the power to close, and this divine transfer is proof that the hand of God is never bound by human limitations but moves with authority, mercy, and power that surpasses every boundary set by the world. There may be whispers of doubt trying to distract you in this moment, telling you that nothing will change, reminding you of past disappointments, and urging you to give up on hope, but do not let those voices rob you of what is coming, for they are nothing more than echoes of fear, and fear cannot withstand the fire of God's love. So let your faith rise higher than your doubts, let your trust speak louder than your worries, and let your heart be anchored in the truth that God has already declared victory over your life. The divine transfer is also a reminder that your journey has always been seen, that no detail has escaped the eyes of the Father, for He has counted every tear, measured every step, and written every chapter with the intention of bringing you closer to His embrace. And tonight's blessing is not just about receiving something new but about realizing that you have never walked alone, not for a single moment, because His presence has been the quiet strength carrying you all along. So when the sacred hour arrives, allow your soul to rest in the assurance that God has already gone before you, that the angels stand ready to deliver what has been prepared, and that the love of Christ surrounds you like a shield that cannot be broken. And as the transfer begins to unfold, may your heart awaken to the truth that nothing in this world is stronger than the mercy of God, nothing is more enduring than His promises, and nothing is more powerful than His love that will hold you forever. Type yes to affirm. Archangel Michael says, "The blessings being prepared for you are far greater than what your eyes can measure or what your heart can yet imagine, because when God pours out from His heavenly storehouse, He does not give in small fragments but in overflowing abundance, shaped with care and wrapped in love so deep that even eternity itself cannot exhaust it, and this transfer set for you carries the mark of His faithfulness, reminding you that He has remembered every prayer you have whispered, every longing you have carried, and every quiet moment when you chose to trust Him even while your heart ached." You see, this divine release is not simply about meeting needs or answering requests, but about drawing you closer into the embrace of the One who calls you His beloved, for every gift He sends is also a doorway to deeper fellowship with Him, and in this transfer He is not only filling your life with light but also inviting you into the rhythm of His grace, where every step you take becomes an act of trust, every breath becomes a reminder of His mercy, and every day unfolds as part of the greater story He is writing through you. The heavens are not silent tonight, for the angels are moving at the Father's command, arranging circumstances, aligning hearts, and preparing paths so that when this moment arrives, nothing can hinder what God has set in motion, and though you may not see their wings or hear their voices, the atmosphere around you is charged with their presence, carrying the fragrance of heaven and the assurance that you are surrounded by a host that stands with you and for you. Think of the divine transfer as a seed being planted into the soil of your life, a seed that may appear small at first but carries within it the fullness of a mighty tree, and as it takes root, it will grow in strength, bearing fruit in seasons to come, blessing not only your present but also your future, and through you, touching the lives of many others who will be nourished by the faithfulness of God revealed in your journey. What if the fastest path to wealth was already inside your mind, waiting to be activated by a powerful sound wave? Scientists call it the money-attracting frequency, and once awakened, it begins drawing opportunities, success, and financial freedom like never before. Imagine the relief of no more bills and the joy of living your dreams. Click the link in the video description and comments below to turn on this ancient brain wave today. This moment is sacred because it also redeems what has been lost, for the Lord wastes nothing, and even the years that felt stolen or broken are now being folded into His plan of restoration, so that what once brought sorrow will be turned into joy, what once caused pain will become a testimony, and what once seemed empty will overflow with life again, for such is the nature of the Father's love, always mending, always restoring, always creating beauty out of ashes. Type 555 to receive miracles. Do not allow weariness to blind your vision, for I know that you have carried burdens that seemed endless, and at times you have wondered if your prayers would ever reach beyond the silence, yet every word you spoke was treasured, every tear was caught, and every sigh was heard by the one who never turns away, and tonight is His response, His gentle yet powerful reminder that His timing is never delayed, but always perfectly aligned with what your soul needs most. The transfer you are about to receive is not only for your inner healing and comfort but also for equipping you for the path ahead, because God's blessings are never meant to leave you where you are but to lift you into new places of strength, purpose, and hope, and as you step into this new season, you will find courage to release the weight of yesterday and embrace the promise of tomorrow with a heart made steady by His love. You may feel unworthy at times, thinking of your flaws, your failures, and your struggles, but heaven does not measure worth as the world does, for the blood of Christ has already declared you precious, redeemed, and beloved, and this transfer is not a reward for perfection but a gift of grace that flows from His heart to yours, because love is the language of God, and it is through love that He heals, restores, and gives abundantly. Picture the night sky filled with countless stars, each one placed with care by the Creator's hand, and realize that if He has given such beauty to the heavens, how much more care will He give to the life of His child, and just as the stars shine with brilliance in the dark, so too will your life begin to glow with the light of God's goodness, radiating peace, hope, and joy that cannot be dimmed by the shadows of fear or doubt. So as the sacred hour draws ever nearer, rest in the certainty that God's promises are unfolding even now, trust that His angels are carrying what belongs to you, and let your heart be filled with quiet expectation, for the Father's love is unshakable, His plans are unstoppable, and His blessings are immeasurable. And tonight you will taste the sweetness of His faithfulness in a way that will change not only this moment but every moment yet to come. Archangel Michael says, "The hour that heaven has chosen for you is not simply a passing moment in time, but a holy appointment written into the very fabric of your life by the hand of God, and as the evening shadows lengthen and the world grows still, the throne of heaven is alive with anticipation, because the divine transfer carries more than gifts or answers, it carries a piece of God's own heart into your life, a portion of His grace that has been set aside for you, and you alone, since before you even knew how to pray." Type 222 if you trust that God is with you always. This blessing is not a mere reward for endurance, though your endurance has been precious to the Lord, nor is it only an answer to the cries that have risen from your spirit in seasons of pain, though those cries have never gone unheard. Rather, it is a manifestation of the Father's eternal love, a love that chooses to draw close when you feel far away, a love that lifts your head when it hangs low, and a love that covers you with peace so deep that even the storms around you cannot steal it away. You have felt the weight of delays and disappointments, moments when the promises seemed out of reach and your heart wondered if they would ever arrive, but tonight marks a turning of seasons, for what was once withheld is now being released, not because God ever forgot you, but because His timing is always designed to protect, prepare, and perfect, and now that the hour is here, the blessings arrive in fullness, untouched by the hands of doubt, and unshaken by the passing winds of fear. The transfer will not simply touch one part of your life but will flow into many places at once, like a river breaking into streams that nourish every field it encounters, and as it moves, it will refresh your weary spirit, it will bring clarity to your wandering thoughts, it will place courage into your trembling steps, and it will awaken hope in corners of your heart where despair once lingered. Because God does not give in fragments but in completeness, making whole what was once fractured, and breathing life into what seemed forgotten. Think of the gentle hands of Christ reaching into the depths of your soul, touching the wounds that no one else sees, speaking peace into the storms that rage within, and lifting burdens that you no longer have the strength to carry, for this is the essence of the blessing prepared for you, not only external change but also an inward renewal that shapes your spirit, anchors your faith, and fills your life with the fragrance of His love. The angels who move tonight are not distant observers but faithful servants of the King, carrying in their wings the answers that align with heaven's plan, surrounding you with unseen strength, and pushing back against every darkness that dares to oppose what God has declared, and though you may not see them with your eyes, their presence is real, their mission is clear, and their loyalty is unshakable, for they come at the command of the Lord to ensure that what has been promised reaches you without delay. This transfer is not about earthly gain alone, though provision will come and doors will open, it is about a deeper truth, that your Father in heaven delights in showing you His goodness, delights in reminding you that He is closer than your very breath, and delights in proving that His love is not abstract but living, active, and powerful. A love that steps into your story at just the right time and reshapes it in ways you never thought possible. Do not let fear cause you to doubt the reality of this hour, for fear is nothing more than the echo of past disappointments, and it cannot withstand the certainty of God's promise, so let your faith be the key that unlocks this blessing, let your trust be the soil where the seed takes root, and let your surrender be the doorway through which the Father enters, because He does not force His way but waits for your heart to open, and when it does, His presence floods in like sunlight breaking through clouds. Type "I believe" if you believe miracles are on the way. Your story is not over, and this blessing is proof that God is not finished with you, for what is being released tonight is not only for your comfort but also for your future, equipping you with strength for the road ahead, filling you with joy for the days to come, and giving you a testimony that will inspire others to hold on when their faith is weak, because the miracle in your life will become a light in theirs, guiding them back to the truth that God is faithful and His love never fails. So as the appointed moment draws close, let your soul be still and your heart be ready, for heaven is leaning close, Christ is walking beside you, and the Father is stretching out His hand to give what has always been yours, and as you receive this divine transfer, may you know beyond all doubt that you are loved, chosen, and cherished, not just for tonight, not just for a season, but for all eternity, held forever in the embrace of God's unfailing grace. Archangel Michael says, "The unfolding of this divine transfer is not a fleeting event that slips away once the clock strikes its appointed time, it is the beginning of a new season, a holy opening in your life where the love of God will continue to flow like an unending stream, soaking into the dry places of your soul and awakening within you the certainty that you are never forgotten, never abandoned, and never overlooked by the one who holds the entire universe yet bends low to comfort your heart." This blessing carries within it the power to rewrite the story you once thought was sealed, for where you saw final chapters and closed doors, the Lord has written pauses and new beginnings, and as the transfer pours into your life, it will bring with it opportunities you could not have created, peace you could not have manufactured, and healing you could not have earned. Because the gifts of God are not measured by human effort but flow from His boundless grace that delights in giving generously. Every moment you have endured in waiting, every tear that has fallen in silence, every breath you have taken while wondering if tomorrow would bring change, has been collected by the Father and woven into this moment of release, and though you may not yet see the full picture, the heavenly tapestry is already complete, each thread carefully chosen to reveal not chaos but beauty, not loss but restoration, and not despair but hope that rises stronger than every shadow. The angels who surround you even now are not idle witnesses but messengers of action, preparing the ground for what is to come, clearing away obstacles you cannot see, and strengthening your spirit so that when this blessing arrives, you will not only receive it but also walk in it with boldness and joy, for the Lord does not send blessings to overwhelm or confuse, but to lift, to guide, and to establish you in His love more deeply than ever before. What if everything you've been chasing, wealth, freedom, success, could be drawn to you automatically, simply by unlocking a secret brain wave hidden inside you? Once classified by intelligence agencies, this discovery is now available to the public, and it's changing lives instantly. Picture yourself debt-free, stress-free, and thriving. Click the link in video description and comments below to awaken this money magnet frequency and watch abundance flow into your life today. Think of the ways that spring follows winter, bringing blossoms to branches that looked dead, filling the air with fragrance after months of silence, and painting the earth with color where once there was only gray, for that is what the divine transfer will feel like in your soul, a sudden and undeniable awakening where what was dry comes alive, what was broken is restored, and what was barren begins to bear fruit in abundance. Because the Spirit of God breathes life into everything He touches. Type 3030 if you believe Jesus lives in your heart. Do not be surprised if what arrives is greater than what you asked for, because God is not limited by your prayers, He is not restricted by your imagination, and He is not bound by your expectations, but He delights in giving more than you can conceive, for His heart is a well of generosity that never runs dry, and when He gives in ways that reveal His glory and remind you that His love is beyond comprehension. This transfer will also awaken within you a deeper strength, for the trials you have endured have not been wasted, they have stretched your faith, expanded your endurance, and carved out space within your heart that can now hold the fullness of what God is releasing, and as you receive it, you will see that every season of waiting was not a punishment but a preparation, not an absence but a refining, making you ready to stand tall in the blessing without fear of losing it. The love of Christ is the foundation of everything you are about to receive, for He is the bridge that connects heaven's abundance to your life, and because of His sacrifice, nothing can separate you from the flow of God's mercy, nothing can block the arrival of His promises, and nothing can prevent the release of His blessings that are written with your name, and as you lean into His presence, you will find that every gift points you back to Him, the source of all joy, peace, and strength. There is also a purpose beyond yourself in what you are about to receive, because when heaven places treasures into your hands, it is so that others may be touched through your story, others may be encouraged through your testimony, and others may find their way back to faith through the light that shines in your life, for the Father never blesses in isolation but always in multiplication, turning one heart touched into many hearts transformed by the ripple of His love. So as the sacred moment approaches, let your spirit rest in quiet confidence, knowing that what is written for you cannot be erased, what is prepared for you cannot be stolen, and what is promised to you cannot be denied, for God Himself has set this time, the angels have prepared the way, and the love of Christ is the seal that guarantees it, and tonight you step into a season where heaven's reality becomes your reality, and your life becomes a living testimony of God's unshakable grace. Archangel Michael says, "The holy hour draws ever closer, and the atmosphere of heaven trembles with anticipation, for what is about to be poured into your life is not a fragment of blessing but an outpouring of God's heart, a sacred release designed not only to answer your longings but to anchor you in the unshakable truth that you are loved beyond all measure, chosen with eternal purpose, and destined to walk in the fullness of His goodness." The divine transfer is more than an act of giving, it is a covenant moment, where heaven touches earth in a way that changes the course of your journey, and what you are about to receive has been guarded through battles unseen, carried through the faithful prayers of angels who have surrounded you, and preserved by the timing of God who knew exactly when your soul would be ready to receive it without fear, without doubt, and without hesitation. Think back on the roads you have walked, where the weight of sorrow pressed so heavily upon your chest that you wondered if joy would ever return. Remember the nights when silence felt louder than your prayers, and the mornings when you rose with questions unanswered and burdens still intact, yet see now how all of those moments are converging into this present hour, where the Father bends down to assure you that nothing was wasted, nothing was overlooked, and nothing was beyond the reach of His redeeming love. Type Amen to trust God's plan for your life. This transfer carries the essence of restoration, because God is not only a giver of new beginnings but also a restorer of what was broken, and what He places in your life tonight will not merely replace what was lost, it will multiply in such a way that the scars of yesterday are transformed into testimonies of victory, and the emptiness you once felt becomes filled with overflowing abundance that can only be explained by the mercy and kindness of God. The angels moving on your behalf are not delaying, for they have been set into motion by the voice of the Father, and with every step they take, the chains of fear are breaking, the walls of resistance are falling, and the shadows that once loomed over you are scattering into nothingness, because the light of Christ travels with them, and where His light shines, darkness cannot remain, nor can despair linger, nor can hopelessness breathe. The blessing you are about to step into is not fragile, it is not temporary, and it is not conditional upon the approval of the world. It is sealed in the blood of Christ, secured in the promise of the Father, and delivered through the power of the Spirit, which means that no force of darkness, no scheme of man, and no shadow of doubt can undo what God Himself has ordained for you, and when you receive it, you will stand in awe of the way His faithfulness has carried you to this very point. Imagine the dawn breaking after the longest night of your life, the horizon painted with colors you have not seen in years, the air filled with the sound of hope returning, and the warmth of light touching your face after seasons of cold. That is what this divine transfer will feel like within your heart, an undeniable awakening that lifts your soul into joy so deep that no sorrow can uproot it and no fear can diminish it. You may still wonder if you are ready, but readiness is not measured by perfection, it is measured by trust, and even the smallest seed of trust is enough for God to water, grow, and bring to fullness. So release the weight of self-doubt, let go of the memories of failure, and open your hands to receive, for the Father does not bless because you have earned it, He blesses because He loves you. And His love is more constant than the rising of the sun. This transfer is also a calling, a reminder that you are not meant to carry this blessing in silence but to let its light shine into the world around you, for your story is a vessel of hope, your healing is a message of encouragement, and your breakthrough is a spark that will ignite the faith of others who are watching, waiting, and longing to know if God still moves, and through you they will see that He does, and that His love is alive and unchanging. So as the hour approaches, let your heart not tremble with fear but steady itself in expectation, let your mind not wander into doubt but rest in the truth of God's promise, and let your spirit not shrink back but rise into the fullness of what is being given, for tonight heaven is opening its storehouse, angels are delivering what has long been written with your name, and Christ Himself is standing beside you to ensure that what belongs to you will reach you, will stay with you, and will grow within you until it becomes a testimony of His unending love. Type 111 if you believe miracles are near. What if the missing piece to financial success wasn't luck, but a hidden frequency inside your brain waiting to be switched on? Once activated, this ancient signal unleashes waves of prosperity, opening doors to opportunities you never thought possible. From sudden windfalls to long-awaited breakthroughs, it's transforming lives daily. Want to see how? Click the link in the video description and comments below to tap into the Money Magnet brain wave and begin your journey today. Archangel Michael says, the divine transfer that draws near is not simply a blessing wrapped in mystery, It is a turning point in your life where heaven's mercy collides with your earthly journey, and when it arrives, you will not only sense the weight of God's presence but also see how carefully He has aligned every detail so that what is meant for you cannot be delayed another moment, for His timing is always flawless. His ways are always perfect, and His love never fails to accomplish what it has promised. This moment carries with it the fragrance of restoration, for what the enemy thought was lost forever is now being returned to you in a greater measure, and where you once felt emptiness, God is filling you with abundance. Where you once carried sorrow, He is pouring out joy, and where you once walked with uncertainty, He is establishing your steps in peace that cannot be shaken, because His blessings are not fragile. They are eternal, and they are sustained by the power of His unfailing love. Think of the way a storm clears the sky, leaving behind air that feels fresher, skies that shine brighter, and ground that is nourished, for this divine transfer is arriving like the calm after your longest storm, a sign that the battles you endured were not in vain, that every tear you shed watered the ground for this moment, and that every prayer you prayed was a seed that heaven has now chosen to bring into bloom at the perfect time. The angels who move tonight are not merely delivering what belongs to you, they are also guarding it, ensuring that nothing can steal, distort, or diminish the blessing as it arrives, and as they move with strength that shakes the unseen realm, they whisper to your spirit the truth that you are not alone, that heaven has always fought for you, and that every delay you endured was transformed into preparation so that when this hour came, you would be ready to walk into it with courage and faith. There is a beauty in how God redeems time, for though you may feel as though years were wasted, seasons were lost, or opportunities slipped away, the transfer you are about to receive will make up for what seemed stolen, bringing acceleration where there was delay, fruitfulness where there was barrenness, and purpose where there was confusion, because God does not simply restore what was taken, He multiplies it, ensuring that your story is not one of loss but one of victory that shines with His glory. Let your heart not grow anxious as the moment draws close, for anxiety whispers that you are unworthy, that change will not come, that the promise will pass you by, but those whispers are lies born of fear, and fear has no place where love abides, for perfect love casts out every shadow, and the love of Christ surrounds you now like a shield, protecting you from doubt, lifting you from despair, and holding you steady in the certainty that you are deeply and eternally loved. This transfer is more than provision, it is a revelation of identity, for through it God is reminding you of who you are in Him, not a forgotten soul wandering in silence, but a chosen child wrapped in His grace, not a broken vessel beyond repair, but a testimony in the making, not a passerby of blessings, but a rightful heir to His promises, sealed by the sacrifice of Jesus and delivered through the faithfulness of a Father who delights in His children. Type 2020 to claim joy and strength. Picture the dawn breaking after a night so long that you thought the sun would never return, and suddenly the sky glows with colors you have never seen before, warmth floods the earth, and light reveals beauty that darkness had hidden. That is how this blessing will feel when it touches your life, a sudden and undeniable awakening, not because you forced it, not because you earned it, but because God in His mercy decided that now is the time for His glory to shine upon you. What you are receiving tonight will ripple beyond you, flowing into the lives of those around you, because God never blesses one life without also touching many others through it, and as your testimony grows, as your story shines brighter, others will be drawn to hope again, others will dare to believe again, and others will find their way back to faith through the light that radiates from you. For you are not only a receiver of blessings but also a carrier of His love to the world. So rest in the assurance that what has been promised is not slipping through your fingers, for heaven is precise, angels are faithful, and God is unchanging, and tonight as the appointed hour arrives, the divine transfer will flow into your life with strength, with beauty, and with purpose, and it will remind you again and again that you are seen, you are valued, and you are loved with a love so strong that nothing in heaven or earth can ever take it away from you. The divine transfer that awaits you is a manifestation of God's perfect timing, for He has not overlooked your tears nor forgotten your prayers, but has kept them safe within His heart until the appointed moment when their answers could be poured out in fullness, and that moment is now arriving, clothed in mercy, wrapped in grace, and guarded by angels who move with strength so great that no force of darkness can delay what has already been written for you. Think of how a barren field, once dry and lifeless, is transformed when the rains come, the soil softens, the seeds buried deep begin to stir, and soon life springs forth where there was none, and that is how this blessing will come alive within you, awakening dreams that once lay silent, reviving faith that once felt fragile, and stirring joy so deep that it cannot be shaken by circumstances, because it is rooted not in what changes but in the eternal faithfulness of God. This transfer carries the fragrance of restoration, for the Father is not only giving you what you need for today but is also redeeming what was lost yesterday, turning sorrow into joy, wounds into testimonies, and disappointments into divine appointments, because He is a God who wastes nothing, and every chapter of your story, even the painful ones, is being woven into a greater design that reveals His mercy and magnifies His love. Do not fear that you are unworthy of what is coming, for worthiness was never the measure by which God blesses His children. He blesses because He is good, because His love is unconditional, and because His Son has already declared you redeemed. So release the weight of guilt, the whispers of shame, and the chains of doubt, and open your heart to receive freely, for what is given tonight is not earned but gifted, flowing not from your strength but from His endless compassion. The angels surrounding you are not silent watchers but active carriers of God's goodness, moving swiftly to deliver what belongs to you, standing guard against every force that would oppose it, and filling the atmosphere with a peace that testifies that heaven is near, and though you may not see their wings or hear their voices, their presence is unmistakable, for they come with the authority of the King, and they will not rest until what has been entrusted to them rests safely in your life. This divine release is also an invitation to walk more closely with Christ, for every blessing He gives is meant to draw you deeper into His presence, to remind you that He is not only the giver but the gift itself, and as you receive tonight, you will find yourself hungering for more of Him, longing to walk in step with His Spirit, and discovering that the greatest treasure of all is not the blessing itself but the nearness of the one who blesses. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast ocean, waves rushing to the shore, each one carrying treasures from the depths, never ceasing, never running dry, and that is the picture of what God is releasing, not a single moment of provision but a continual flow that will keep washing over your life, bringing renewal, strength, and joy in every season, because His love does not stop with one act, it continues, unbroken and unending, as steady as the beating of your heart.